These weird tales may seem anything but true, but historical records say they are. Here are a few totally real unsolved mysteries that'll give you chills. Museum dioramas are the creepy stuff of nightmares. In 2017, Pittsburgh's Tribune Review reported on a discovery from the Carnegie Museum of Natural History that proves just how disturbing they can be. The museum has an exhibit called Lion Attacking a Dromedary. While the museum has known for a long time that the camel-riding man has some disturbingly real teeth, it was only when they dismantled the display for restoration that they found the frightening truth. The mannequin didn't just have real teeth, it had a real human skull.
That's cool. That's not creepy.
The diorama is actually surprisingly old, and it was first displayed in Paris in 1867. It was eventually bought by Andrew Carnegie and ended up in the museum that bears his name, but no one knows where the skull came from. We do know that the whole thing was made by the Boré brothers, who were known to have created at least one other taxidermy person, and unfortunately, they were exceedingly bad record keepers. It's possible they might have just swiped the skull from the Paris catacombs, but the original owner of this incredibly lifelike face remains a mystery. You may know the story of The Man in the Iron Mask, written by Alexander Dumas in the 19th century, but while the book was fiction, the story also had a basis in reality. According to the Times literary supplements, the real man was just as much a mystery as his fictional counterpart. Benin de Saint-Mars was one of the king's men put in charge of governing prisons. As Saint-Mars was transferred from prison to prison, a mysterious unidentified prisoner stayed with him the whole time, allegedly masked in iron whenever he was in public. The mystery man died at the Bastille in 1703, and the name Marchioli was recorded in the death register. No one really believes the name was real, and attempts to figure out who the prisoner was have uncovered more than 50 different possibilities, ranging from a 12-year-old who punched the Dauphin to an illegitimate son of Charles II. We still don't know who the real man in the Iron Mask may have been. TV crime dramas don't have anything on the bodies of Miguel José Viana and Manuel Pariara da Cruz, two Brazilian electrical engineers who went out in the most spectacularly bizarre way possible. When the bodies of these men were found on August 20th, 1966, they were laying side by side, dressed in suits, waterproof coats, and lead masks. With them, they had a pair of towels, an empty water bottle, and a notebook that contained an entry that translated to 1630, be at agreed place. 1830, swallow capsules. After effect, protect metals, wait for masked signal. And that's pretty much it. No one has the foggiest idea what the story behind their mysterious deaths is. Since no toxicology reports were ever done, no one even knows what it was the two took, if anything. As for what they were waiting for and the metals that needed protecting, no clue there either. While the case will likely never be solved, theories about the deaths range from foul play to a drug overdose to, of course, aliens.
This sounds absolutely insane, and I'm aware of how this sounds. But you could potentially come to the same conclusion.
The saying, "you shouldn't take candy from strangers," comes from the very real and still unsolved kidnapping case of Charlie Ross. The story was published in 1876, and Christian Ross's The Father's Story of Charlie Ross. In June of 1874, a man in a wagon was handing out candy to kids in the Germantown area of Philadelphia. Charlie's brother Walter revealed that Charlie's abductors had offered to take the boys to a store to buy some firecrackers. Walter was eventually left by the side of the road to find his way home, and a manhunt for Charlie began. In 2013, a librarian stumbled across the ransom notes for Charlie Ross, the first ransom notes ever known to be sent in America. The kidnappers demanded $20,000 for the 4-year-old's return. Over the next 5 months, Charlie's family received 23 letters from the kidnappers and investigated more than 600 children who might have been Charlie. He was never found. On May 26, 1828, a man named Kaspar Hauser was found wandering in a town square in Nuremberg. When he was questioned, he knew strangely little apart from his name. Later, when curiosity about the stranger kicked into high gear, he would claim that he had been kept in a dark room by people he never saw, which sort of explained why he had no manners to speak of and a preference for bread and water. It only gets weirder, because over the next few years, there were at least 3 attempts on his life. No one ever saw any attackers, and Hauser was thought to be alone when they happened. In 1833, he was said to have been killed in one of these mysterious attacks. There are tons of theories about just who he was and what really happened to him, and they range from the possibility that he was a complete fraud to the theory that he had mental and emotional issues stemming from childhood abuse. One of the stranger theories is that he was an illegitimate claimant to the throne of Baden, and that someone in the region wanted him out of the way, but we'll likely never really know. This weird story begins in the 1930s when Ecuador decided to open the remote Galapagos Islands to colonists. Little Charles Island gained 3 families, one of which consisted of an Austrian woman named Eloise de Wagner-Bosquet and her 2 lovers, Robert Philipson and Rudolf Lorenz. Nicknamed the Baroness, Wagner-Bosquet and her partners lived a bigger-than-life, free-love lifestyle, becoming such darlings of the media that they even starred in a short movie filmed on the island. But the bliss didn't last.
Neither of us could have imagined the strange and sinister drama that would be unleashed upon us all.
On March 27, 1934, the Baroness and Philipson disappeared. Lorenz told their neighbors that the pair had left the island for America after being picked up by a yacht belonging to friends. Not long after, Lorenz himself decided to leave the island and boarded a small boat manned by a Norwegian fisherman. None of them were ever seen alive again. Lorenz and the fishermen's bodies were found months later. The 2 died of dehydration after being marooned on an island with no fresh water, an island that mysteriously was nowhere near their planned path of travel. As for the Baroness and Philipson, no sign of them was ever found. It's possible they safely arrived in America and lived out their lives in anonymity, but most believe Lorenz murdered the pair and fled to escape justice. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more messed up history videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.